Alright, this is to document the motor build for my level 3 certification flight. I've spent quite a bit of time test fitting all the pieces, making sure the edges are nice and beveled so that there's no burrs or anything that'll prevent things from slipping together. I've got the parts laid out, got my glue and whatnot. They have to glue these together, so that's part of why this is a little more involved than normal. And so this is an M2250 C-Star motor, Cesaroni, and it's a 4-grain M, which is kind of interesting in itself because most M's are typically 5-grain in the 75mm size. The thing I have to be careful about is that the base grain, which is here, has a larger diameter hole, as you can see from the rest of the grain. So I just have to keep track of that, make sure that goes in at the appropriate step in the sequence. Since this is glued, the normal instructions just say put it all together and you're fine. But for certain motors you're supposed to glue these, and so the assembly order is slightly different. They want you to put the glued grains in from the nozzle end. So that'll be a slightly different sequence than you might be used to seeing in a motor build. So with that, I'm ready to go. So the first thing they say here is to assemble the tracking smoke. It goes in the sealed forward closure. There's a insulator that you have to go ahead and lubricate. So we'll go ahead and do that. My fingers are going to get nasty, but that's okay. So that goes in nicely. The next thing to do is to liberally coat one end of the tracking grain. This acts as an insulator to protect the metal from the burning material when it gets near burnout. A nice coat there, and that then slips in. And I clean my fingers up. So we've inserted that coated end first according to the instructions, and we're supposed to press down on that to make sure it's all nice and squished out and everything's all happy. So that looks pretty happy to me. Set that aside. Alright. Now we jump. So normally you would start assembling bits and pieces on the nozzle, but for this build we go to the, let's pull that all apart. Go to the product notes. Go to the product notes, and it tells you what to do. And we're going to be using Gorilla Glue to assemble this. So we'll be building with the most forward grains first, and then finishing up with the end grain, the nozzle grain, which has the larger diameter hole. So it says, okay, pull these puppies out. This is the first O-ring, so we need to set that aside because we may or may not need that. And these things are C-Star propellant in a cardboard tube. So for Gorilla Glue, we want to get a damp rag. Well, let's do this right. Let's put my gloves on. Normally, depending upon what I'm using, I may or may not use gloves for things. Not used the Gorilla Glue before on anything. Here, it's wonderful stuff, if you believe the commercials. And I want to get it on the gloves and not on the not on my hand. I'm using these blue nitrile gloves, hopefully. Alright, so we got our gloves on. Get a nice rag. get that damp. We're just going to dampen the surface. Gorilla Glue is a glue that uses some moisture for curing, partly. When wet, it'll expand. So there's our dampened grain. And it says, put the stuff on there. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's got a nice consistency, not too thick, not too thin. And I'll use one of my fingers to spread that out. I'll use more than one of my fingers. So one of the things this does is it expands. When it gets to the moisture. Alright, so there we got that. Now it says apply, ensure no is on the, and insert from the nozzle end first. And so we'll go ahead and give another one of these. This is a messy process, I can tell right now. There's our O-ring, which I won't touch with the gloves. So that's interesting. How do I do that? Alright, live and learn. Wet. Tell already I don't like this little lid getting in the way. There's our liberal Gorilla Glue, close to our Republican Gorilla Glue. And now with this, pick up our O-ring, set that in there nicely. That's a nice fit. Set that goopy mess down, and slide the next one in. This feels good. It's going in nicely. Very little, almost no material is coming back through. Almost none. So that's nice and neat. And we'll grab another one of these rings. Get that in there. Right. The only thing on my gloves that isn't glue covered are the heels and my palms. Next one. This is actually going much faster than I thought it would. Of course, I'm sacrificing materials I probably wouldn't otherwise. I suspect I would go ahead and dampen all the grains first next time. Nice and damp. Get our Gorilla Glue out. So these grains have no beveled faces or anything. There's no forward end, no rear end. It's just the one grain that's got a different size nozzle, a whole bore to it that you got to watch out for. So if you've had some of the other motors, typically a lot of them, not all of them, but have a grain that's got a bevel to it. There's nothing like that on this. It's all very straightforward. Nice glue. Nice ring. Off the end here. Begin to insert. insert, twisting slightly while inserting, and then we'll finish with a push, clean cloth, get that in there. Again, very clean. End grain. End grain spacer. Rag. Base grain, clearly marked. Done with the rag. Last bit of glue. I'm putting down a nice bead. That's goes down. Good squeeze. And pretty happy with that. Nicely coated, and last time here, we get this in here. Alright, so that looks like the camera decided to stop taking some imagery for a while, probably hit the 4 gig mark. It's high def video, so that doesn't take long to do. But it looks like this top O-ring, I'll measure it. I got a ruler here. Let me measure that. I'll measure that. Make sure this is seated all the way down. And we've got, I can do metric a lot easier. We've got right at a millimeter. Right at a millimeter there. If I push, if I give it just a little bit of force, it does seat. So we'll come back, and that looks good. I think we're going to keep that. That worked better than my test fit. So that's it right now. I get to let this stuff this glue dry overnight, and we'll finish the build. So cap my glue, and see you tomorrow. So we're back. It's a day later. Cases are now inserted as they are supposed to be. The video I looked at yesterday did cut out at 4 gigabytes, and so you didn't see me actually insert the nozzle, pushing the grain stack into its final position. But that was very easy to slip it in and stand it on end overnight to dry. So that's done. We're ready to do the final bit of the assembly, which is basically installing some O-rings in this piece and sliding everything together. And the O-rings are pre-lubricated, so we can just get on with it. So the small one is a different color. And it goes inside the bottom piece here. And the way that this goes on is the O-ring is on the bottom edge. With a slight twisting motion, that clicks right in place. Very simple, very easy. Okay, so now we've got the 2 grains. Alright, carefully install 2 large O-rings in the external grooves. So we got one here. That's clean. That's that. This one. It's done that way. And okay, so let's get the case. Here's our case. And it says, slip that down. I normally put lubrication on this. Let me see if it says does not call for lubrication. So we will not lubricate. Oh, it does say lubricate. Alright, so read carefully. More lube. Where's my lube? Right here. Case this size, a light coat's probably about 1.5 quarts. Just like I did the other glues. Put a nice coating on here. What this does is that liner is going to get very hot and it'll stick to the case. So this just provides a little layer of lubricant to prevent that from sticking. Okay, go back again one more time. Okay. Alright, try it again. This should not matter. Except look at the threads there. You get threads there too. Let's try this again. Put the first retainer in there. This is where a wrench would come in handy. I don't have the wrench, unfortunately. Everything is all slippery at this point. And we turn it by hand, and you're supposed to turn it until the bottom ring is flush with the outside. And we're almost there. Alright, that's that. And then you go ahead and put your O-ring in. And the seal disc. Forward closure, making sure the O-ring goes in there over those little threads. And if all went well, turn this down. And I'll finish tightening that at the field. I'm going to have to borrow a wrench to fill that. But that's basically it. Little bit of extra tightening, and this is now ready to go. The last thing to do is install the igniter on this tube, which you'll shove in there, and you'll cap the whole thing with this, and that's it. Surprisingly easy. So, see you on launch day.